Emily had always believed her life was perfect. Her marriage to Daniel was the envy of their friends, her career as an interior designer thriving, and her close bond with her younger brother Elliot unshakable. To outsiders, she lived a life most could only dream of. But even in paradise, shadows can linger. It began with whispers of doubt. Daniel had become distant, his once lively laughter now subdued. Late nights at the office stretched endlessly, and the warmth that once defined their marriage felt like it had slipped through her fingers. Emily dismissed it as work stress, determined not to let paranoia taint their love. But when a curious glance at Daniel's journal revealed an entry that mentioned Elliot in a way that made her heart freeze, her world tilted on its axis. Elliot brings out something in me I've never felt before. He sees me, understands me. But how do you love someone you're not supposed to? The words etched themselves into her mind, replaying over and over as disbelief gave way to fury. Elliot? Her own brother? Emily couldn't fathom the betrayal. Surely there was another explanation, but deep down, the truth gnawed at her. She decided she needed to see for herself. The following evening, she invited Daniel and Elliot to dinner under the guise of a family night. Her heart pounded as she prepared the table, scrutinizing every detail in search of cracks that might expose the lies. When they arrived, the atmosphere was tense, though neither man seemed to notice her internal storm. As they sat together, Emily's sharp eyes caught subtle cues. A shared glance, a brush of hands under the table. It was enough to confirm her fears. Finally, she could bear it no longer. "How long have you two been seeing each other behind my back?" The question dropped like a thunderclap. Daniel froze, his face ashen, while Elliot's wide-eyed panic betrayed his guilt. Silence hung in the air, heavier than Emily thought possible. "Emily," Daniel began, his voice barely a whisper, "it's not what you think." But Emily cut him off. "Don't you dare insult my intelligence. I saw the way you looked at each other. I read what you wrote. Just tell me the truth." The confrontation spiraled into a cacophony of accusations and confessions. Daniel admitted he had feelings for Elliot, emotions he couldn't understand or control. Elliot's voice cracked as he apologized, trying to explain that he'd never meant to hurt her. But their words only deepened the wounds, each one a dagger to Emily's already shattered heart. In the aftermath, Emily's world unraveled. She left Daniel, cutting off all contact with him and Elliot. Alone in her apartment, she buried herself in work, trying to suppress the pain. But no matter how hard she tried, the betrayal followed her, seeping into every corner of her life. Weeks later, letters began to arrive, first from Daniel, then from Elliot. Each one was raw, filled with guilt and longing. Daniel wrote of his confusion, his struggle with identity, and his regret for the pain he caused. Elliot's words were equally heartfelt, pleading for forgiveness and the chance to rebuild their sibling bond. The letters were both heartwarming and heartbreaking, stirring emotions Emily thought she had buried. Eventually, Emily realized that forgiveness wasn't for them. It was for her. She sought therapy, joined support groups, and began to reclaim her sense of self. She decided to meet Elliot first. Their conversation was raw and emotional, two siblings grappling with the complexities of love, loyalty, and human imperfection. Though the scars remained, Emily took the first tentative steps toward reconciliation. Her meeting with Daniel was different. She made it clear that their romantic relationship was over, but she encouraged him to embrace his truth and seek the help he needed. They parted ways with an understanding that, while their marriage was irreparably broken, their time together had not been in vain. Years later, Emily stood in her gallery, showcasing a new series of paintings titled Fractured but Whole. The pieces were bold and diverse, a testament to her journey through betrayal, heartbreak, and healing. Among the crowd was Elliot, standing quietly in the back, and Daniel, now openly living his truth. Emily's heart no longer burned with anger, but was filled with a quiet strength born from survival. Her story didn't end with a traditional happily ever after. Instead, it was a tale of resilience, growth, and the power of self-love. Emily had learned that even in the wake of devastating betrayal, it was possible to rise, stronger and more whole than ever before.